Have you ever stopped to think about what your future will be like when the pace of life slows down, when work no longer occupies the center of your days, and when past financial decisions begin to bear fruit? Many believe that retirement is just a matter of age or savings, but the truth is that it begins much earlier, in the silent choices we make every day. In a world marked by economic instability, uncertainty in pension systems, and constant anxiety about tomorrow, a question grows that few dare to face. In whom or in what are you placing your future security? In this video, you'll discover that retirement, in light of Scripture, is not the end of a journey, but the harvest of habits wisely built over time. We'll talk about 5 biblical habits that not only protect your financial future, but also strengthen your faith, discipline, and sense of purpose. Stay with me until the end, because the last habit revealed here can completely change how you see money, work, and the future. Enjoy this moment, leave a like, and subscribe to the channel. Habit 1. Plan wisely and forward. When we talk about protecting the future, the first biblical habit that needs to be understood is planning wisely and in advance. The Bible makes it clear that the future should not be ignored or treated carelessly. Quite the contrary. Planning is an act of spiritual responsibility, not of distrust in God. There is a profound difference between anxiety and prudence. While anxiety is born of fear, planning is born of wisdom. The Scriptures show us repeatedly that the wise person observes the times, analyzes the path, and prepares before the need arises. The ant, for example, is presented as a model of diligence precisely because it works today thinking about tomorrow. It doesn't wait for scarcity to arrive before acting. This simple teaching carries a powerful truth. The future is built with decisions made in the present. To ignore this is not faith, it is negligence. Many people confuse living by faith with living without planning. They say things like, God will provide, while avoiding organizing their finances, thinking about retirement, or building savings. But the Bible never encourages irresponsibility. On the contrary, it invites us to act with vision, balance, and discernment. Planning doesn't mean controlling everything, but recognizing that God has given us intelligence, organizational skills, and the responsibility to manage well the time and resources He has placed in our hands. When we apply this principle to retirement, we realize something very important. Future rest begins to be built long before the last day of work. Every financial choice, every impulsive expense avoided, every conscious decision to save or invest is part of this process. Planning ahead is deciding today that your future will not be marked by improvisation, dependence, or fear. It is choosing to walk with order, purpose, and direction. In today's context, where everything seems urgent and immediate, planning has become an almost revolutionary act. We live pressured by consumption, comparisons, and the false idea that there will always be time later. But the Bible calls us to a different attitude. It invites us to number our days, evaluate our paths, and understand that time is a precious resource. Those who don't plan end up being governed by circumstances. Those who plan wisely build room for better choices in the future. Habit 2. Faithfully manage what God entrusts to you, because it's not enough to plan well if, in daily life, the management of resources is done carelessly, impulsively, or disconnected from spiritual values. The Bible is clear in stating that nothing we have is truly ours. We are stewards, not absolute owners. This change of perspective completely alters how we deal with money, work, and retirement. When we understand that resources are a divine trust, stewardship ceases to be merely a financial skill and becomes an expression of spiritual faithfulness. Every financial decision becomes a reflection of our conscience, our character, and our maturity. The Bible teaches that whoever is faithful in little will also be faithful in much. This principle speaks not only of amounts, but of attitude. It is not the value that defines faithfulness, but how we handle what is in our hands today. Many people believe they can only manage finances well when they earn more, have a higher income, or have more stable lives. But financial responsibility doesn't begin in the future. It begins now. It begins when we choose to control spending, honor commitments, avoid waste, and use resources wisely. Those who don't manage the present well will hardly have peace of mind in the future. Retirement, in this context, is not just a saved number, but the result of a life of continuous responsibility. Faithful management requires discipline, and discipline requires daily decisions. It means knowing exactly where the money is going, understanding priorities, and aligning the use of resources with eternal values. The Bible does not condemn prosperity, but warns about the danger of negligence and lack of self-control. When money begins to govern decisions, the heart drifts away from its purpose. But when there is faithfulness in management, money becomes a tool, not a master. This biblical habit also brings emotional freedom. Many financial anxieties don't stem from a lack of money, but from a lack of control. When we don't know how much we earn, how much we spend, or how much we owe, anxiety silently sets in. Faithfulness in management brings clarity, and clarity generates peace. That's why the Bible associates wisdom with tranquility and not excess. An organized heart tends to produce an organized life. Before I talk about habit number 3, if this content is making sense to you and bringing clarity to your future, please take this opportunity to leave a like, because this greatly helps the channel reach more people. And if you're not yet subscribed, subscribe to the channel and activate notifications so you don't miss any videos. Habit 3. Avoid debts that compromise future rest. The scriptures teach that debt establishes a relationship of dependency. It creates bonds that limit choices, steal tranquility, and prolong obligations far beyond what is necessary. Many people don't realize it, but they live today trapped by decisions made years ago, choices made without reflection, driven by urgency, social pressure, or immediate desire. The problem is not just owing money, but carrying commitments that extend into the future, compromising the rest that should be experienced lightly. When we look at retirement in light of this principle, it becomes clear that debt not only affects the present, but profoundly shapes the future. A future built on constant installments will hardly be a future of peace. The Bible associates rest with freedom, and freedom requires leeway. Excessive debt silently consumes this leeway. It reduces the capacity for choice and transforms the future into an extension of the pressures of the past. Avoiding debt, from a biblical perspective, doesn't mean living in deprivation or rejecting any kind of financial commitment. It means discernment. It means understanding the difference between need and desire, between conscious investment and emotional impulse. Biblical wisdom calls us to evaluate the cost before taking on any obligation. Not just the financial cost, but the emotional, spiritual, and familial cost. Every debt carries an invisible burden that affects more than just the wallet. One of the great dangers of debt is the false sense of progress. Often it seems that life is moving forward, when in reality, it is only being brought forward. Possessions, experiences, and living standards are brought into the present at the expense of the future. This imbalance creates a dangerous cycle where tomorrow is constantly sacrificed to sustain today. The Bible invites us to break this cycle, offering a broader vision where time and resources are treated with respect and responsibility. Easy access to credit has made debt almost invisible. Small installments, long terms, and promises of ease create the illusion of control. But over time, these choices accumulate and begin to define the rhythm of life. Retirement, which should be a period of rest, ends up being postponed or lived with severe limitations. The Bible warns that the weight of debt is not measured only by its value, but by the continuous impact it has on freedom. Avoiding debt also requires courage. Courage to say no, to live below your means, to resist comparison and instant gratification. Biblical wisdom was never about following the majority, but about choosing the narrow path that leads to a balanced life. This habit protects the future because it creates space. Space for better choices, for unexpected events, for generosity, and for true rest. Habit 4. Investing with purpose and discernment. Investing is not an act of greed, but of responsibility. It's recognizing that idle resources tend to lose value, while well-directed resources can bear fruit. The Bible teaches that wisdom lies in making money work, not just accumulating it out of fear. The problem isn't the investment itself, but the motivation behind it. When the goal is simply to get rich quickly, the risk increases and discernment decreases. But when the purpose is to protect the future, serve the family, and maintain a balanced life, the investment begins to have meaning. This habit requires spiritual maturity because investing always involves decisions that offer no absolute guarantees. That's why the Bible emphasizes discernment so much. Discernment is the ability to assess risks, understand limits, and recognize the right time to act. Many financial losses occur not due to a lack of opportunities, but due to excessive impulsiveness. Biblical wisdom invites us to observe, reflect, and seek understanding before any decision that affects the future. In the context of retirement, investing with purpose means understanding that time is a powerful ally. It's not about seeking shortcuts, but about building consistency. Small decisions repeated over the years tend to produce more solid results than large bets made without preparation. The Bible values perseverance, and this principle applies perfectly to building a secure future. Sustainable growth is rarely rapid, but tends to be stable. Another essential aspect of this habit is diversification. Biblical wisdom teaches us not to concentrate everything in one place. This guidance reveals a deep understanding of risks and unforeseen events. Investing with discernment means recognizing that the future may present unexpected challenges and that distributing resources is a form of protection. This principle demonstrates that faith and prudence go hand in hand. Trusting in God does not eliminate the need to act intelligently. Investing with purpose also requires alignment with values. Not every financially attractive opportunity is spiritually healthy. The Bible teaches us that true prosperity cannot be built at the expense of peace, integrity, or conscience. When financial decisions conflict with ethical principles, the cost is often too high. A secure future is not measured solely by numbers, but by the peace of mind that comes from knowing the path was built with righteousness. This habit also reinforces the idea that money is a means, not an end. Investing wisely means using resources as tools to serve a greater purpose. Protecting the family, maintaining dignity and rest, supporting relevant causes, and leaving a positive impact. All of this is part of a biblical vision of prosperity. A vision that goes beyond accumulation and reaches meaning. Habit 5. Building a legacy that goes beyond money. The Bible teaches us that true inheritance is not limited to material possessions. Money can be lost, eroded by time, or mismanaged by future generations. But values, principles, and teachings transcend time and continue to bear fruit even when resources run out. Building a legacy means understanding that retirement is not the end of purpose, but a transition to a phase where influence can become even more powerful. This habit challenges a very common mindset, the idea that success is simply accumulating as much as possible for oneself. Biblical wisdom presents a different path. It shows that true prosperity is linked to the ability to impact lives, guide paths, and transmit wisdom. When someone reaches retirement with resources but without purpose, emptiness silently settles in. But when they arrive with history, values, and influence, rest gains meaning. Building a legacy begins long before retirement. It starts with how we deal with family, work, money, and the difficult decisions of everyday life. Every consistent choice, every upright attitude, every moment of informal learning shapes what will be remembered. The Bible speaks of leaving an inheritance to children's children, and this inheritance goes far beyond financial resources. It includes vision, character, faith, and practical wisdom for life. Time, which was once almost entirely consumed by work, becomes an abundant resource. And what is done with that time reveals much about the legacy being built. The Bible shows us that there is immense value in advising, guiding, and serving. People who have lived wisely accumulate experiences that cannot be bought. And these experiences, when shared, become seeds for future generations. Another fundamental aspect of the biblical legacy is generosity. The Bible associates prosperity with the ability to bless others. Building a legacy means understanding that resources are not only for personal comfort, but also for creating impact. Retirement, in this sense, can be one of the most fruitful phases of life, when there is freedom to contribute, support causes, help people, and invest in something greater than oneself. Throughout this content, it has become clear that retirement is not an isolated event, but the result of habits wisely built throughout life. The Bible shows us that planning ahead, managing faithfully, avoiding debt, investing wisely, and building a legacy are eternal principles that fully protect the future. When these truths are applied, tomorrow ceases to be a source of fear and becomes a space of peace, purpose, and security. Now the decision is in your hands. What habits will you begin to build from today? If this message resonated with you, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and continue walking with us on this journey of biblical wisdom towards a balanced financial life and a truly secure future.